is how it was made out to sound. And I just remember thinking, and basically he talked about him like he knew him. And why he was really wanting to promote him, I don't know. I didn't see anything really negative about him, and I don't, again, remember how it came up, but there was something that I mentioned, and then Chris very quickly jumped to his defense. I maybe made like a really kind of short, sarcastic comment about something. And then that's what Chris told me. So I remember I just listened, and I thought, oh, and then I remember thinking, maybe I have a different impression now of this Hines guy. I mean, it didn't matter to me. I didn't never crossed paths with him again. I didn't think, at least until actually a lot later, I ran into somebody who looked a lot like him and acted like him, but I don't think it was him. And that was a very strange situation. That was in Wenatchee. But, I mean, laughed like him, looked like him, except for without the same build, everything. It pretty much looked like him, but it had been so many years since I'd seen him, and I just assumed that I'm sure it's not him. And anyway, I'm saying a lot again now because since about 4 o'clock, a little bit after 3, very gradually, I didn't have any torture occurring all day today until about that time, and then someone began doing something to my ear and my teeth and the metal in my neck again, all on the left side. So, and a couple other things. But that's why I'm not as fluid in my speech. So I really don't know what Chris Dabney's connection is to the Hines family, to Teresa Hines. I know that he voted for Obama. He wanted Obama, so he's possibly Democrat. Maybe he sort of just goes with whoever he thinks is the best person. I don't know. I was kind of rooting for Obama as well. I thought around that time that, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't now either, but I liked the idea myself a little bit, but I don't know if he's just kind of always been a Democrat. I don't know if he has connections to the Kerry family or what, but I know he nodded off to Mark, who's the Irish Catholic. He dropped me off in Pennsylvania, and I know that he is connected to a federal agency. Chris is. So there really isn't a reason why he couldn't potentially also be connected to somebody or know this Hines guy personally. The other weird thing that happened when I was still living at that house is around that time I noticed a little bit, as I said, some harassment and being watched a lot by some Jewish people. And one time I was kind of being set up to, this one guy wanted to do something with me, and I didn't want to, and I didn't. And I wasn't incapacitated either. I just maybe had, chose not to, and he didn't push that and respected that, so he didn't do anything there. But he was kind of rude, and he acted kind of weird on a couple other levels, and I felt like, maybe that was his apartment, but I felt like I was in an apartment that was not his. I had the weirdest feeling about that place. I felt like it was someone else's apartment, that he had just taken me to someone else's apartment. It was supposedly his apartment, but it felt like an apartment where different people had been using it, and it didn't really belong to just one person, but like different men maybe brought women there, or different people did different things there. And I have no idea why I had that impression or thought that when I visited. I have no reason to have thought that. He never said anything of the sort. But that's this weird feeling that I had about it. And then while I was in that apartment, I remember seeing a black and white photo of someone who looked exactly like Chris Dabney, but with a little longer hair, ice skating, and from a Boston, Massachusetts college. It said it was a photo from Boston, Massachusetts. He had a hockey stick and was ice skating behind this car, like being pulled by a car on ice, and then skating or something. And I remember thinking that that person in that photo looked so much like Chris Dabney, and I didn't think that he had gone to a East Coast college, but I guess I don't know for sure, but I just remember that. That's the only thing I remember. He had a lot of books. There were tons of books. So I remember his books. And I remember that photo, and that is all I remember about that place. Except for him and it having that feeling of different people have been using this place as like a stop-off place. I mean, I kind of wondered if maybe there are a couple apartments here and there set up where it looks like an apartment and everything looks like well lived in, and you have everything you need, books, furniture, a little bit of food, and then different guys share it, kind of. Like it's their hookup place. And I don't mean like with prostitutes or anything, but take a girl home, or maybe try to take a girl home and try to do something. It's some kind of a place, like kind of a timeshare, like a timeshare for romantic liaisons. And that, I'm sure that probably that man, that Jewish man, if he ever saw me on the video and heard me saying that, he's probably totally shocked out of his mind, thinking like, why in the world would she think such a thing? And I have no idea why it came to mind, but it's the first time that I ever had that idea that I think that there are places like that in this town. And I thought maybe his place was one. Maybe his place wasn't. And if it wasn't, I'm sure that probably there are places like that. I mean, what guy wouldn't come up with that idea? Maybe. I mean, I've been somebody that people have swapped around, like trying to use me like a timeshare. I mean, trying to use me like basically in gang rape. Not with this particular individual, but people think of all kinds of things. I'm sure just having an extra place, there's nothing illegal about that. And then that way you don't have to take the woman home to your own place where, wait, if something goes bad or something doesn't work out, you don't want someone to stalk you. I mean, who knows? That if somebody's married, if somebody's single, they've got this kind of like a pad. They've got their Playboy pad set up. And so right around that time, aside from him, there were other individuals who were following me places who were Jewish, and one guy took me to I met him for a job. I was trying to get work again. And I met him in downtown DC, and he basically wanted me to do something for him while all the windows and blinds were open. And then he was saying things in a specific way and wording it in a certain way. He had baseball pictures all over his office. And he was kind of throwing a baseball around or doing some stuff. I just remember having the very distinct, he was Jewish, I believe. And I had the very distinct feeling that I knew that he was trying to set me up. He wanted to get me, I didn't know if he was a cop or what. To me, he came across as a cop, like just a full-on cop. Not FBI, not intelligence for any agency, just cop. And but it could have been just political. I had a very distinct feeling that he wanted to catch me sounding like a floozy. And all of his windows were open. He was trying to get me to do something with him, but I wouldn't. And then the kind of language and the questions he was asking and the things he was trying to get me to agree to, basically, if anybody had been listening in, or if anyone were potentially taping it, I could tell that he was trying to possibly try to get something to use against me. That made me not sound very good. So I remember that happened with him, and then I left the place and a different guy came out, and he looked at me like he kind of looked at me like he was glad that nothing had happened with this guy, but I still wondered what the deal was. I mean, why did they do that to me at all, to begin with? And I think I got set up in a separate occasion as well by Nikki, who knew that I was going out one night. I house sat for her one time, like for a day or two, and never went through all of her personal belongings or anything. And she, then I was going out one night, and she knew where I was going, and I was approached by this guy. He was a man from Argentina, and I believe that man from Argentina was basically, he was wearing the same kind of black shirt that Chris Dabney always wore. I don't know if someone thought, oh, I just like black shirts like that. I have no idea. But he approached me. He sought me out, approached me, wanted to hang out. I thought it was interesting to talk to him, so I did. He was involved in the steel industry in Argentina, and I knew definitely that that entire scenario was a definite setup. And I definitely knew that there was some very serious political point to it, and it was to make me look bad. And I remember that when he agreed, he said he wanted to keep talking and everything, so I went to his hotel, and we did talk. Told me about the steel industry and all these other things that he did. And then I remember something else happened which really shouldn't have, but I can't I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but I just remember that when I was leaving that place, there were people mocking me again. The exact same way that they mocked me after I was with this man, James, from Texas, like when I was blackout drunk, and Nikki knew it, and he just showed up when Nikki saw how drunk I was from Jaeger after I'd had other drinks. She kept feeding me shot after shot. Try this, try this. I just mixed this up. What do you think about this compared to this one? And I really did like Jaeger. I have to say I liked it. But all of a sudden it was like I drank it, and then boom, I was suddenly like, literally, it was the only time that I can think of in my life where I saw black spots. Not totally blacking out or anything, but seeing it a little bit longer than normal. And extremely drunk, and Nikki knew it. And then that man showed up. So in the same way that I was really mocked, I had people outside and they were mocking me when I left that place. It was the exact same thing when I left this place that, the man from Argentina had been staying at. There was a woman right there in the lobby who was very happy about everything. She had dark hair, and I still remember the look on her face. Very satisfied, very smug, satisfied, jubilant. She thought she really had me. She thought that she had some big dirt on me, and it was going to ruin me.